Welcome back to Tran Wins Tactics Ogre Reborn. Previously, we completed the main storyline on the Chaos route. I'll be going in great detail in the Warren Report, explaining how to rename Denim, rewinding time to an anchor point, and how to 100% events. So please skip ahead to the timestamp on your screen now if you would like to go straight to the battles. You can now use the World Tarot. The World Tarot allows you to move your party between various points in the game's timeline. These points are called anchor points, and there are several scattered throughout each chapter of the game. Select World Tarot from the Warren Report to view the timeline and move to the desired anchor point. You will still be able to use all unlocked game features even if you move to an earlier point in the timeline. Refer to the play guide in the Warren Report for more details. Alongside the World Tarot, the game also includes the new level sync and item scaling features. Level sync automatically adjusts the power of your units when you outnotch your opponents, while item scaling adjusts equipment that's too powerful for the current battle. Level sync applies to battles you haven't completed yet. Once completed, you can disable level sync for that battle. Refer to the play guide in the Warren Report for more details. Party level up, 40 to 45, Concord King Unbloodied, Savior of Valeria, Hero King Unscathed, and Dynast King Slayer. Let's take a look at some of this stuff. The Chaos Frame command is now available. Allies incapacitated. We get a title achieved because we had 0. Allies slain, we had another title achieved because we had 0. However, if you wish to raise your Chaos Frame, you can get your allies incapacitated, and if you wish to lower your Chaos Frame, you can either kill enemies of the appropriate clan, or have allies who are slain of that appropriate clan. Allies who are taken down in training mode technically count as incapacitated without raising your count. If we take a look at our Chaos Frame, you start with 50 in each stat. I only have the one Lodician, so raising it will be kind of slow, and I've been killing more than a few. In fact, if I start with, say, 50 in Lotus, by killing about 200 people, I have ultimately reduced it by 4. So, reduction is fairly slow going, considering each battle is roughly, maybe, say, 12 enemies, and they're mostly Wallister, Gargason, and Bakr, aside from the last few stages. Of course, that was storyline-based, was Lodician. I haven't really been fighting many Zenobians, but there are a few of them. There are a few of everything, in fact. Most of our units will be unknown. That tends to be things like Golems and Hawkmen and whatever else. Here's your progress bar. The event where we got Peacebringer or whatever it was, where we went to the Falaha camp that were holding people hostage. If we approached without weapons, we got 1 event and 1 battle. If we want to unlock the rest of the progress meter and fill it to 100%, we probably have to go and kill those guys, but without having a peaceful resolution. Let's take a look at the titles we had just earned. Dynast Kingslayer defeated Dorgalua, the Dynast King, as he returned from the Abyss. Savior of Valeria brought peace to Valeria and helped Princess Versailles ascend the throne. Concord King Unbloodied had no deceased units after the final battle in the Hanging Gardens. Hero King Unscathed had no incapacitated units after the final battle in the Hanging Gardens. Let's go to People before we hit the section and talk. Denim fulfilled his father's dying wish and led the resistance to victory against the Dark Knights, defeating them in a bloody battle. Joshua sided with the resistance, devoting herself to bringing the war to an end and reclaiming the Valerian throne. Her coronation fast approaches. Warren later saved Denim when the Chaos Gate collapsed during a momentous battle at the Hanging Gardens, but was himself trapped. It is not known if he survived. Dorgalua. His corrupted form emerged once more when the gate was opened by the Dark Knight Mardum, but he was defeated by Denim. Mardum and Barbas. Similar dialogues, I'll only read it once. Mardum and Barbas rebelled against rebelled with Andorus to obtain the legacy of King Dorgalua. They used Burnhilder to open the Chaos Gate, but were slain in battle with Denim. Andorus all the while harbored deep hatred towards Lotus for destroying his homeland, and he joined Sir Mardum and Sir Barbas in revolt against the Dark Knight leadership. They took possession of Burnhilder and fled to the Hanging Gardens, but were slain there by the resistance. We'll hit the talk in a second. Let's take a look at the World Tarot. So these anchor points are kind of like save files. If I were to load this anchor point, I would end up being in front of the garden, basically. I would have all of this completed where we get Lombardia. You can only have one since it's one of those yellow items. Otherwise, we could keep loading the anchor point before this and keep getting Lombardia from Lancelot. However, this anchor point is after it, so we wouldn't be able to do that, but we could kill all those Lodicians again. Oh, and when you load an anchor point, it loads back the calendar day in the bottom right, as well as the chaos frame for that setting. If you wanted Lord, you would immediately load to this anchor point over here. Not that one. Sorry. Right here. This anchor point right here, News of the Princess. This is when, right before we head over to Barnicia Castle, defeat Tartaros, and then in this case, we get to decide that we ended up not fighting the princess, but this lower icon here is a battle that we had not uncovered. It would count towards that progress meter that you saw earlier. This would count towards Kashua. Kashua being in that fight would count towards the completion because that's another separate battle. This one, we saved Kashua, so she got to declare herself being princess and she's going to go for peace and all that. Doing so, we got the princess marks and the princess class. To get the ultimate class, you must not save Kashua, and so loading this anchor point would be too late. We would need to load this anchor point, and then we would start at Hagia Banhumuba. We just need to do Barnicia Castle again, pick options that kill her in battle, or don't let us save Kashua, and then we get the all-powerful Lord class. So that is something you can do right away after finishing the epilogue, the chapter. We're not going to do that for the time being because since I'm recording this, we will hit that eventually. Although I would greatly benefit from those advantages. I know that there will always be people who are unhappy with my characters being overpowered, so I'll limit myself by not being Lord. I'll still have overpowered stats, just not an overpowered class. Now let's go on to talk. This one right here, Songstress of Omish, will open up a new event, but we will go ahead and read all of them. The Kingdom Rises. Having the backing of both resistance leaders and the commons, Princess of Versailles announced her intention to establish Heim as the provisional seat for her throne. Many of the princess's closest allies are to aid in her rule. She has also announced the resistance is to be dissolved. With war at an end and the Dark Knights destroyed, the resistance has already fulfilled its purpose. Its soldiers will join the Queen's Guard or be assigned other posts to ensure they are rewarded for the service they have given. Heim Castle is bustling with the preparations for Versailles' coronation. With the Heim conflict that erupted following the death of King Dorgaloa at the end, King Tristan of the Kingdom of New Zenobia pledged to support Princess Versailles in restoring the Isles to their former glory. It is rumored that his envoys have already been sent to Heim. The Holy Lodician Empire has made no comment thus far. With the collapse of the Bagram Valerian Kingdom they had lent aid to through a secret treaty, they surely cannot remain silent for much longer. Interestingly, it seems the destruction of the Dark Knights has yet to be announced in Lotus. The Tigers stir. Though the war in Valeria is at an end, bands of armed militia still roam the land. The Tigers of Burnham is one such group. Based in the Burnham Highlands, they have been implicated in a number of assassinations. They recently claimed that Denham Pavel, leader of the resistance, is using Princess Versailles to gain power for himself. They have stated their intention to capture Heim from the resistance and restore rightful order under Versailles' rule. Though they fight under the banner of justice for all Valerians, former Bakram and Galgastani soldiers are joining their ranks in droves, and doubts have been cast on their motives. The Bending of Time. This one explains the World Tarot to a degree. Don't expect a perfect, comprehensive, storyline, savvy / compatible way of explaining the World Tarot. Many strange rumors have been circulating of late. People thought dead have been seen walking about, and the same person sighted in 2 places at once. Normally, little stock would be put into such rumors, but there is much talk about these incidences among scholars and mages. Some believe them to be the work of the Apocrypha, others attribute them to some arcane art brought from Lotus. A common thread is found throughout these reports. The young hero of the resistance, Denham, is always mentioned by witnesses. Denham is famed as a warrior and tactician, but few know of his penchant for collecting tarot cards. He is apparently particularly fond of the Wheel of Fortune card. It is not clear how this relates to the current rumors, but the Wheel of Fortune card has long been a symbol of regret and atonement in Valeria. It would not be beyond reason for Denham himself to be struggling with such feelings, having experienced war at such a young age. What would one do if the power to bend time fell into our hands? One could repeat an exercise, knowing the best solution in advance, or learn a lover plans to leave you before they speak a word. And who would not go back to save the lives of fallen comrades? However, one thing must be kept in mind: a different past is no guarantee of a happier future. Changing what has happened may in fact have no effect at all on the here and now. So this is just the in-game explanation for it. Don't expect Denham to suddenly have all this knowledge of chapter 4 and then rewind time and suddenly be able to make brand new choices. Now, you still get the same choices as before, but it's still a nice touch. The Songstress of Omish. An enchanting winged songstress has arrived in Port Omish, a town of ruffians and rogues. People flock to hear her angelic voice day upon day. It is rare to see winged womenfolk in those parts, and she has become quite a spectacle. This event is the episode 1 of Coda, which is the extra stuff at the end of the game. We'll consider that post-game content. By hitting this talk, we have unlocked Port Omish and temporarily closed Pirate's Graveyard, but it's not by any severe limitation. It'll open up right after we do that fight, pretty much. Let's see, what else was there? Oh yeah, there was some stuff in the play guide that we were going to hit. Before we hit the World Tarot, there's some stuff that I never got around to reading from the Palace of the Dead. Is it reincarnation? Yes. This is something that we never ended up doing because it looks like we'd have to, I think we have to have a person knocked down and we have to have these items. So I'll go and kind of read about this. Certain items can be used during battle to reincarnate units as special units or classes. So that's how we got the that's what we use the Ring of the Dead for. We have to take it in battle. I think it's stupid you have to do it in battle, but whatever. Put it on a person you want to turn in a lich, and then in battle, use it. Units retain their level after reincarnating. Note that not all units can use these items to reincarnate. So if we have a Book of the Dead, we can use it on a zombie. Zombies cannot class change. You can raise their experience through charms. Since zombies that I hire are always higher level than me, it hasn't really been an issue. But if we have a Book of the Dead equipped on a zombie unit, that unit will turn into a skeleton or ghost. This will result in these will result in a couple of changes. One, the skeleton will have 1 higher RT. So if your warrior had 74 RT or whatever before, I don't remember the exact number. If he had 74 RT before as a zombie, he would have 75 RT as a skeleton. Ghosts have floating, but they are not immune to fall deaths. Seal of Rebirth. We haven't gotten one of those yet, but we will unlock something called the San Bronza Dungeon, which is kind of like the Palace of the Dead, except a lot shorter. Everything's shorter. Used by a skeleton or ghost to reincarnate as a human. So basically, you could turn a zombie all the way to human by using Seal of Rebirth, or you can buy Charm of Remissions that turn zombies into humans. I don't know quite what the purpose of this is, unless you are just unhappy with the class choices that you would have as a skeleton or ghost. For example, a ghost is limited to wizards and warlock classes. A skeleton cannot be an efficient knight, but they can still be a knight. Oh, sorry. They can still be a fully fledged knight, just can't cast divine spells. So Phalanx is a very powerful skill for a knight, meaning that he will not necessarily get hurt. If that's all you're interested in, sure. A bunch of skeleton knights with Phalanx, probably unstoppable. Still, be very slow going, and I pride myself on efficiency. Ring of the Dead, used to reincarnate as a lich class. This is something that we've used lots of times, and through my testing, I found that pretty much all Hawkmen, including the Hawkman we will get at the end of this Coda 1, can become a lich. However, your unique named generics, I know that's kind of an odd term, such as Sarah and Voltar, they are characters without their own sprite model. They cannot become liches. I don't know why. Ensanguined Rude. I have no idea if I said that right. Used by skeleton or ghost to reincarnate as a divine knight class. We have not yet gotten one of those. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at level sync and item scaling. When the power of your units exceeds that of your enemies, level sync adjusts the power of your units to match. This ensures that battles remain challenging even when using the World Tarot to travel back in time. Level sync only applies to battles you haven't completed yet. In most cases, you can turn level sync off and on for battles you've completed. Okay, I think that kind of explains how we're going to do our playthroughs. Since our characters will automatically be level synced to the enemy for our new routes, the lawful and neutral routes, we completed the Chaos one. Then we will be level synced, and that'll solve that. And for the battles that we've already seen, we'll just have it turned off and I'll overwhelm them. I think that sounds very fair. That was kind of what I was thinking of doing anyways, because we've already played those battles at their level once. I was going to probably overwhelm to show you how far we've come. Each battle has a level that determines the strength of the enemies you'll face. You can see the battle level when assembling your party on the battle party screen. Level sync compares the level of each unit against the battle level, and if any of your units are higher level, their stats are adjusted to a more appropriate power level for that stage. Units whose level is subject to level sync are marked with the level sync icon on the battle party screen. Keep this in mind when forming your battle party. So what I think when they say this part is roughly, very roughly, your characters get 3 points in each attribute per level. So if your level sync reduces you from level 40 to 20, I would say that your power level goes roughly from 20 levels times 3 stats per each attribute. 60 values will be lost in each of your attributes. Denim, for example, who's eaten so many charms, he'll still be grossly overpowered because he'll only lose those 60 points, but he'll still have roughly 200 in every stat. Item scaling. When level sync applies, high-level units aren't the only thing adjusted. The power of their equipment may also be scaled. If units are wearing equipment that is comparatively strong for that stage, item scaling will also apply to the stats of that equipment. Units whose equipment is subject to item scaling are marked with the weapon icon on the battle party screen. See it kind of right here where this Terror Knight has just his level is changed, but the archer next to him has both level and item. I don't expect you to really make out the icon because I can't make it out. I just know that there's two different ones. There's one here and then there's a separate one down here. Okay, about item scaling. Here's some of the details about that. Some items are worse off once they've been item scaled. Let's say that I had high level Brigandine armor or something. It's higher level technically than Balder armor. However, Balder armor at least raises some of your other stats. So if my Brigandine was de-leveled, it might be technically better to equip the Balder armor. That being said, if you're so powerful that you're getting level synced, I'm 100% sure that you do not have to worry about those tiny little extra details. Just go ahead and have your Brigandine armor equipped. Don't take that extra time to change your gear. It's fine. You'll be okay. But there are some technical times where it is better to switch to another piece of gear. Because, say that Brigandine, its benefit is higher defense, but because it's higher level, it is going to be reduced in that defense and no longer provides more than Balder armor. I'll display that way later on when we do our battle. So displays more of the level sync stuff when we do our battle, but I'm trying to explain it as much as possible because there are a lot of people who don't know about level sync, have heard about it, and want to know more before they get to that part of the game. Perhaps so they can plan for it, but there's really nothing to plan for. I feel it's done very well. Disabling level sync. For battles you've already completed, level sync can be disabled on the battle party screen. However, when level sync is disabled, units that would normally be subject to level sync do not earn experience point. Meaning that I can't take, say, a level 39 guy, fight a level 16 battle without level sync, and then they will get stronger. That being said, this is no big deal. Again, maybe it's just the way I play, but my guys are always at the level cap. I don't, experience means nothing to me. Maybe I am the abnormality for that purpose, but I mean, I know I do a lot of things abnormal in the game, but man, I don't see this mattering to a lot of people. There are also certain battles in which level sync cannot be disabled even after you completed them. To my knowledge, stuff like where you have to duel Vice, or what's that other dude's name? He's the lover of Aracel. I don't remember his name. You have to duel those guys. I don't think you can hit them with higher level denim. They must be level synced. Some battles are not subject to level sync at all, regardless of whether the feature is enabled or disabled. All units will earn experience points in these battles. The gallery basically is art, and then here's renaming. So we can rename denim, and we can rename him to anything we wanted. So at this point, if we wanted to name him Tran, we could. However, it only affect his name. Voice lines, obviously, will still refer to him as denim. So if we named him Tran, it'll say Tran in text boxes, but people say like, Denim, are you going to do this? Denim, will you bring me this? Changing Denim's name will affect all saves. If you change his name on save A, his name will also be changed to save B. The same is true when starting a new game. If you change Denim's name after completing the game and then start a new game, the game will reflect his new name from the beginning. Of course, it also follows all naming conventions, such as under 12 characters or something, and all that jazz. No bad words, or no words that the game thinks might be bad words. Once you change Denim's name, you can't change it again right away. You must complete a certain number of battle stages before the option will become available. All saves are combined when counting the number of stages completed. Each time you change Denim's name, the number of stages that must be completed to change it again increases as follows. Then here's all these things. So if you wanted to change it 5 times, you need 80 battles to complete, counted across all saves. So people have also wondered a lot about name changes. When can you name change? Well, this is it. This is right here. Note that the count only starts after you change Denim's name. Even if you have a name change unlocked, the count doesn't start until you change his name. Then this is the progress bar at the bottom of the Warren report. Event progress is shown by chapter. Events are tracked down to the smallest differences, such as whether specific characters are present or not. So what this means is, it sounds like if I want to fulfill event counter, I will need to dismiss Canopus early on. For that, what do we call it? For that timeline, for that anchor point. And now that we've looked at this, I will show you the World Tarot information afterwards. An example of a different scene is when Canopus teases Denim at the beginning of Chapter 3 in Port Ashton. Without Canopus there to deliver his lines, it counts as a different scene, although it really plays out the same. Both Canopus and sometimes the Bakram sisters appear in the background of some cutscenes. If they don't have any lines, I don't think it counts as a different event. And there will probably be more events of actual substance later on when I'm missing certain characters from that cutscene. It's still mostly the same because they wanted to make it where it would be okay for the storyline if he wasn't there. All that was to say, if you want to 100% the game, you're going to need to start dismissing some characters in that anchor point or world line. Sometimes the same event can take place in multiple chapters. In this case, the chapter in which you first encounter the event is recorded, and all other instances are marked as completed. This means you may see events marked as completed in chapters you haven't yet reached. Battle progress is shown by chapter. Training battles in certain stages are not counted. Your progress collecting items is shown by item category. Progress is counted when you acquire an item. If an item is later sold or consumed, it will not be removed from your progress. Alright, looks like I'm going to have to craft a bunch of useless things, but okay. That should be it for that section. Okay, let's go to World Tarot. First, we'll do World Tarot and consistencies, then we'll hit these other two. Each anchor point records your progress in the story up to the point you pass it. The status of each unit related to the story is also saved. This means when you use the World Tarot, you may experience some inconsistencies. This graphic here, it won't make sense until we read more about the inconsistencies, but I just want you to take a look at this top part. This top part is as if you were playing the game normally, with Canopus in your team. He's both alive in the story and alive in your party. And then we go all the way over here and we do the World Tarot and rewind time. Alright. Inconsistencies. Here is an example of an inconsistency you may encounter. You pass anchor point B with Canopus present in the story and your party. You later dismiss Canopus. So in this right here, in the story of this first timeline, Canopus is dismissed or killed, and he's no longer in this timeline. So we World Tarot back here in the story at anchor point B. In the story, he's still alive because this is kind of like a save file for that. However, in my party, he's gone. Remember, our party data is retained across saves. The story data recorded when you passed anchor B included Canopus as being present. However, since that state of your party is maintained even when you move back on the timeline, Canopus remains dismissed from your party. In this situation, even though Canopus has been dismissed, he will still appear in the story as though we're present. The information in War Report will also treat Canopus as though he were still in your party. The story is always going to be the same as in the War and Report. It is not reflective of your party. Your party is considered metadata. Updating anchor point data. Each time you pass an anchor point, the data it contains is updated. Continuing on from the example above. So let's say if we wanted to make this, maybe we wanted the storyline of Canopus to be gone in this next event so that we can get a different event, different counter towards that progress. We'd have to rewind time further back, get rid of Canopus here. So we see that he's been added to our party. We get rid of him sometime before B. Now that cutscene is different. After jumping to anchor point B, we instead jump back to anchor point A, a point before Canopus appears in the story. Canopus joins our party as part of the story, but then we dismiss him again before reaching anchor point B. When we pass anchor point B, the anchor point data will be updated to reflect his absence from our party. Alright, this may mean we have to dismiss some of our rarer characters, which sucks because I've been trying to level them up well, only for the hard to acquire characters. Denim is hard to acquire, Cressida is hard to acquire, so what I've been doing for them is I've actually been loading if I didn't get good level ups, which I will talk about more in a later video. Because we may have to maybe if I never recruit Cressida, that will also count for the event. We'll see. If I'm going to 100% the game, those are some things I have to take into account. Now let's hit the World Tarot. Let's talk more about rewinding time. We understand that it affects the different, there's different two timelines. There's one in the story of the War and Report, and there's just one that is our party, which will always be the same. You never really have to worry about rewinding time messing up your party. You can use the World Tarot to jump to certain points in previously completed areas of the story. These are called anchor points. There are multiple anchor points in each chapter. You can view these on a timeline by using the World Tarot command in the War and Report. This timeline is also used to select a specific anchor point to jump to. The state of the story is saved as you pass each anchor point. When you jump to an anchor point, you resume playing from that point in the story. If you return to a point before an important decision is made, you can make a different decision if you choose. Kind of like a bookmark. In fact, I don't know why they don't just call it that. Your party remains unchanged. Details such as party and units, levels, inventory, and war funds are retained when you jump to an anchor point. This is also true of units who join your party, though they may revert to guests not under your control depending on story development. Even in these cases, they will always return to your party once their duties are complete. We have Kashua in our party right now. If we rewind back to the beginning of the game, she will become a guest, but that data, she will have she would join our party once that guest duty is done, or if we fast forward back time, because we can go back to earlier anchor point, then we go back forward. So nothing really hurts. Each anchor point records your progress up to the point at which you passed it. For this reason, anything that occurred after the selected anchor point will be lost. The new notice disappears from talk entries in the Warren Report once you have read them. Using the World Tarot will not restore these notices to their unread state. However, sometimes different color new notices will appear in the talk section after using the World Tarot. They'll show up as purple, I believe. Reading certain entries can open up new possibilities in the game, but using the World Tarot can revert your progress to before these changes have taken place. Meaning that if I rewind time now, I have not read the Songstress of Omish and can safely enter the Pirate's Graveyard. Since the new notice no longer appears, it can be difficult to know which entries you need to reread to advance the game to its previous state. When this happens, entries you previously read that opened up new avenues of progress are marked with a different colored new notice. If you use the World Tarot and don't know what to do next to advance the story, try checking the Warren Report for these different colored new notices. Many features that become available as you proceed through the game can still be used after jumping to a different point in the story using the World Tarot. So we retain AI commands and stuff, so even though we didn't unlock it till later on in the game, if we rewind time all the way to the beginning, we still keep AI commands. We still keep crafting. We still keep things like our chaos frame and our music box and our charm usage. Titles earned and music unlocked are never lost when the World Tarot is used. They are still accessible in the Warren Report. Let's open up the play guide to see an introduction to this next quest we will undertake. There's only one thing here to worry about. This is the new quest episode 1. Beginning the quest. Refer to the Songstress of Omish in the talk section of the Warren Report. The quest begins in Port Omish. Both Canopus and Sir Gildas must be in your party. Alright, before we head on out, that means that there's a couple things we'd like to do. First off, let's go ahead and give Gildas some boots that will let him get away from the enemy, because that's the way we're going to play this next battle. We're just going to have him flee. Additionally, I'd like to remove Denim's ability to counter, and in this case I'll go and show you how to dual wield shields. Not that I still have yet discovered a purpose for doing this. You might have noticed that whenever you equip an item, if it's already in one hand and you're trying to equip that same item, it'll swap hands. Let me show you. If I want to put that in its Burnhilder and swap his hands for that, we can just select right here. If I click this Burnhilder button, he'll swap swords. Let's do so now. We can see that it has changed. If you're on the second hand, you see that you have a shields icon, but if you're in the first hand, you see the shields icon has left. Alright, how can we utilize this? Well, let's go ahead and just equip a shield in where the Burnhilder's slot is, just on the left hand. Put on a Balder shield, it's fine. Now, using the information we discovered earlier, or discussed earlier, we can see that if we equip the Lombardia into that hand, it has now moved to the Balder shield. This will work for any item you only have one of, but if I have, for example, 17 kukris, it would not work because I'll just equip a second kukri in that slot. Now that Balder shield is in my primary hand, I just need to go to shield, and I can select even a different shield if I wanted, such as maybe a Shield of the Winds. He now has 2 different shields. I can equip the same shield if I wanted, maybe 2 Balder shields, whatever. So at this point, he no longer has a counter ability, and Gildas is now capable of extricating himself from a battle. Let's head on over to Port Omish. And since our union cap went up to 45, as always, I'll be trading off screen.
What a lovely voice she has. I've not seen a female winged before.
A rare sight, even in Zenobia. Though I am acquainted with one.
Impressive, Gildas. Is there anything you Zenobian knights haven't seen?
Flattery will get you nowhere. My acquaintance is Canopus's sister, as it happens.
Canopus? A sister? That I didn't know.
I only met her the once myself. She was charming, beautiful, and quite a singer. Famed throughout all of Zenobia, she was. One note, and the men would follow her around like cats after a fishmonger. You'd never know she had such a vulgar brother.
A vulgar brother with ears, you bearded bastard!
Gildas speaks highly of your sister, Canopus. She's not unlike this songstress, I'm told.
Iuria? What in the eight winds is she doing here?
Iuria?
Iuria! Is that you? Explain yourself.
What's all the fuss? Don't like her singing, is it?
Stand aside, scale skin.
Ha! Who's going to make me? You, Birdman!
What did you call me?
Easy. There's no call for that. You picked the wrong fight.
Canopus, Gildas, control yourselves!
The boy's with him, eh?
What?
This is no time for song.
Iuria, wait!
Vanquish the unruly mob? Question mark. There was no deployment screen for this one, so I think we had not. I think they were still under AI control. In this battle, you need to select certain dialogue options in order to escape. However, it does change slightly, perhaps because it depends on what you've picked before, or maybe it just wants you to see everything. I'm going to pick, how do we get into this?
I don't know how we got into this, but here we are. Now what?
And then the next person who talks will either be Canopus or Gildas, depending on who goes first in the timeline. In this case, Canopus will talk. Let's go ahead and just start moving away. This is why I didn't want to counter, because I don't want to kill these people. Sure, I don't care about Chaos Frame, right now anyways, but these guys didn't do anything wrong as far as I know. Now, that being said, I don't really have any love for pirates. In fact, I think they're just nothing more than bandits, right? They seem to be romanticized in many stories. We'll pick. They started it for Canopus.
It was that lizard who started this. I had to defend myself.
He's right, Denham. Honor demanded it.
They're not going to be any help. I guess it's up to me.
So anyways, even though I have no love for pirates, in this case they were just giving a bard their support. That should not necessarily be an action punishable by death. Now we are waiting for Denham's turn to talk again. The way I figure it is, if I end up picking the correct choices for this battle, and it's not always the same. I've gone through this map maybe 3-4 different times to see different permutations of this. And I don't know what necessarily changes it again. It may just... We can see here that Denham's dialogue has recycled back. Let's go and pick the other option.
I can't let this go from bad to worse. But what can I do?
we can now again we jump straight to Canopus. If I want to hear him talk, then we need to get Canopus RT higher. We did. They started it, and we ended up going back to Denham's speech. So let's try the other one.
This is my mess. I'll get us out of it.
Admitting your mistake. Now there's a rare treat. Remind me to mock you properly if you actually get us out of this.
Don't know when to quit, do you? If you hadn't been spoiling for a fight, this would be over by now.
He punched me. Honor demanded it.
That's your problem. You think with your heart, not your head. No wonder you're a second-rate knight.
Ah, that's enough squawking out of you, bird.
Stop this! As if having pirates trying to kill us wasn't enough. We should leave while we still can.
I believe that you have to see both dialogues before you get to the next branch in Denham's speech, but I haven't ironed out all the details yet, so it could be wrong on that. We need Denham to move, so we'll have Canopus do something big RT. Just we have seen Canopus's dialogue options, but we haven't explored Gildas's yet. Okay, so why don't we do a heart crusher? Oh, I can't. Let's do a heart crusher on this barrel. Raise up that RT, and let's fly as far as we can. But that's not really flying, but that will still count for 6 RT per tile. This will really rack up Canopus's RT. This will give Gildas an opportunity to speak. Alright, you have to pick both of these, I think, because I have escaped picking number 2, I have escaped picking number 1, for sure. But it's always the second one that I pick. Maybe it's randomized, I'm not sure. We'll find out. I'm gonna go ahead and pick I can't stay here.
I can't stay here. They'll have to fend for themselves. Canopus, Gildas, we should withdraw.
They do outnumber us. What do you say, brother?
You're no brother of mine, and never were.
Later!
Alright, looks like that was the correct option. So maybe it's if Canopus, maybe it's number 2 if you have Canopus priming the dialogue tree. I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and check out what the other branch looks like for you. Let's check out that battle again from Gildas's perspective.
Fine mess you've gotten me into.
Me? You're the one who couldn't mind his own blasted business. Ah, quit flapping your lips at me and fight!
They're not going to be any help. I guess it's up to me.
Try to rack up as much of his RT as possible.
I can't let this go from bad to worse. But what can I do?
come this far. No backing down now.
Are you daft? Don't encourage them.
Keep pouring in.
Let's be done with this so I can find Iuria. Are you going to help or not, you sorry excuse for a night?
One step forward, two back. I pluck a feather for your sister.
A feather jape, and you mock my sister? You're asking for it!
Stop this! As if having pirates trying to kill us wasn't enough. We should leave while we still can. I don't like the idea of running, but there's no talking to them now. Maybe it's better if I left and gave them time to cool their heads. Canopus, Gildas, we should withdraw.
They do outnumber us. What do you say, brother?
You're no brother of mine, and never were!
Later!
So my current speculation, but I'm not going to try to validate it, is if it's Gildas who prompted that dialogue, pick number 1. If it's Canopus who prompted that dialogue, pick number 2. That's just assumptions on my part. Iuria Wolf, a Zenobian from the city of Peshawal in Charlem. She is sister to Canopus, a songstress of renown. Her voice is said to soothe the hearts of all who hear it. Winged womenfolk are seldom seen in public, but Iuria seems fond of the attention. But before we hit talk, let's actually take a look at the map. We can see here that the pirate's graveyard is actually gone. The Warren report will cover that. Also, you can see that there is no loading, no scroll bar, and I'm as far down as it will possibly let me. I'm telling you now because there's going to be a new talk icon that'll appear after we pick Iuria's Requiem. This explains why Pirate's Graveyard is gone. A storm is raging off the coast of Odlar. The water around the island are known for their fickle currents, and the storm has only made these worse. The approach to the undersea caverns is called the Pirate's Graveyard, and is currently too treacherous to navigate. Though thought to be a temporary anomaly, pirates in these parts whisper that the storm is caused by a creature of the deep. The Songstress Iuria has won great fame for her talents, but since her arrival, death seems to stalk the sick and weak in Omish. The requiem she sings when the dead are laid to rest may bring tears with her beauty, but some believe her to be the dreaded witch Sirene. Now that we've done Iuria's Requiem, we unlock Iuria's secret, which will bring back the Pirate's Graveyard. The Songstress Iuria has been the talk of town of late, and new information about her has come to light. It seems she travels to the deadly caverns known as the Pirate's Graveyard night after night. These caverns are surrounded by treacherous waters and are said to be a gathering place for souls of the dead. This suspicious behavior lends more weight to rumors that Iuria is in fact the witch Sirene. Exorcise Undead, win with Dragoon and obtain a buff card. This particular battle is what I would call a story battle. You cannot retreat from it, but there's the only dialogues at the beginning and the end. Azulstan does have a line later on. Canopus has a line almost in every story battle, but not even the Witch the Neb has anything to say for this.
Let's hope we can catch up to Iuria. Looks like some old pirates don't know when to die.
That's a little insensitive. Azulstan's right behind you. One of the other ways you can tell it's a story battle, besides the obvious you cannot retreat function, is the enemy levels are static. Since I have level 50 units here, if it were a dynamic battle, the enemy would be level 50.
We shouldn't be wasting our time with this. What's that Iuria doing here anyway? She was supposed to be in Peshawar waiting on Gilbald's return. No end of trouble, that girl.
Gilbald, I'm assuming, is a renamed Gilbert, the Beast Master. The Pirate's Graveyard is full of chasms, not as many as the Palace of the Dead, but it's enough that you should be conscious of it and perhaps equip your character with teleportation and items. As a graveyard, it does have its share of undead units. To that effect, I've actually removed Kelpie's healing spells. She's only packing exorcism spells. In fact, let's go and get her closer to the front lines. She may end up more often hitting the enemy with her cudgel, but this will allow her to more easily exorcise enemies. The reason why I removed their healing spells is the clerics typically want to damage undead with healing spells rather than exorcise already downed undead. I can understand a downed undead is not currently a threat, but typically clerics are your main source of exorcising. However, I do have Holy or Scion Blades. Learning to let the AI deal with the undead is essential in maintaining your sanity. We're gonna go ahead and turn off the hit point bars. Now that my character's union cap is 45, they're actually on par with many of my zombies. Zombies still have the advantage in that I don't have to worry about getting incapacitated. At the conclusion of this Songstress episode, your union cap will be raised to 50, which is the maximum in the game. Let me set that Hawkman to range and see if that changes his decision making at all.
Onto the cavern. Iuria's in there somewhere.
Iuria!
You should not have come here.
Who are you? And what have you done to my sister?
Hardly the way to ask a lady's name. I am Serene. Does my song not stir you? Oh, perhaps this body resists me.
Hold, fiend!
Let's deal with these wraiths first, Canopus.
Exercise, buff card, accuracy. This is the battle in which Azelsan does have a line. I don't believe he has lines in others, but I went ahead and just put him in the party for all my formations this recording session. The cleric should be safe, even though she's participating in close range in battle, because I gave her the sneaky set. Denim no longer uses it.
So that was Sirene, huh? No wonder people are turning up dead.
You know her?
Aye, she's a sea witch, to put it plain. A witcher with a voice that sings your doom. People hear her once, and they'll happily swallow their weight in brine. Whole crews, even ships have been lost at sea. Even those rescued wither away till they're not more than foam. Serene calls their souls to her and eats them.
She eats souls. Iuria's in graver danger than I thought.
Not that Denim ever needed a sneaky set in the beginning, but I let him wear it because it was unique and it lended itself well to his ninja assassination techniques. However, now that I'm basing him off of being countered, I want him to get attacked as much as possible. As you might expect, enemies in this dungeon tend to be water, ice, and earth, and to that effect my party is lightning and fire when applicable. Those are the two elements I have the least of, actually. Because, I've been recruiting enemies from the Pirate's Graveyard, or Thorampa Wildwood. On average, the subscriber army has evolved over the course of the game about 7 times each. Meaning that, for example, if we started with Shroud as a Terror Knight, jumped into 6 or 7 different bodies. This is barring Ogre Blade Shenanigans, which I have not yet unlocked. I may have missed it or something, but I don't have that yet. What I mean by evolving or upgrading is if I see a character with stats superior to what I have, I go ahead and just replace my existing version of that character. Some of the individuals that I have not replaced will be Coburg, who we get while fighting in Elmorica Castle, and characters with special nationalities such as Balbodian or Balmokin, or even in one case, a Lodician. This is so I can control their Chaos Frame if I need to. I will say that Chaos Frame for certain clans does influence your ending if you are going for an ending that does not entail Princess Versailles. Can't even see that, but alright. Nice. It's always fun to see them get knocked into the chasm, but again, only during recording. If you were to habitually knock enemies into the chasms during your farming or Palace of the Dead, just setting your units to AI and letting them run without trying to maximize stuff is a lot more tolerable. You will continuously gain resources, even if they are not 100%ing every map to the fullest extent of your human abilities. However, and perhaps it's just that I'm too short-sighted, I find that the charms are still more valuable than even the relics.
You wait for me, Iuria! I'm coming to save you!
My song may not work, but my voice has other uses. Denizens of the Abyss, from ink of blackest night, I summon you, darkness to me!
Witcher Sirene, release Iuria at once!
No, she is mine, eternally mine. I will give her to no one.
This battle doesn't have any of those hidden tricks, such as you have to wound her to a certain degree. Just go ahead and knock her down to 0 HP, it's fine. However, she does summon creatures using Summon Darkness, which you may remember from some of my guides in the Palace of the Dead. She does summon a computer version of the Divine Knight. If one shows up, we'll take a look at it.
Where have you hidden Iuria away, Witcher?
Why, Iuria's right here, with me. We fit perfectly together, you know. I've not felt such a fit ever before. And my voice, enchanting.
Of course her voice is enchanting. She's a singer, you salty harlot. You're not good enough for her, fact is. You sing of death, but she sings of life and joy and warmth. Everything you're not. Let her go!
If Iuria is lost...
Do not fret, little boy. The girl is safe inside me. Or was it me inside her? It matters not. If she died, this body would decay. And I can't have that, can I? I'll take very, very good care of her.
That's a relief of a sort. I need to put this Witcher down and get Iuria out of there.
Not that this game intends to provoke such moral quandaries, but there's an interesting philosophical interest at the conclusion of this battle. Now, although none of these enemies are specifically undead, some of the creatures she summons through the Summon Darkness ability could be whites, which are those blue skeletons. I was thinking of actually having Denim go and decapitating her, but I would like to try to show you a Divine Knight if she does summon one. So we'll let the battle continue to play out. She won't be able to summon until we deplete some of her forces. That was amazing. The enemy unit that was charged was a berserker with berserk, so he smacked all of his teammates, and he chose to smack an enemy berserk so that she countered smacking all of her units. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about the camera angle here.
How could I be defeated?
I didn't get her to show up the Divine Knights, but we will see them in the next area. We'll go and keep this first take just because of the Berserk combo there. I like it.
Iuria!
Brother?
Great Father! The bewitchment's lifted!
Bewitchment? Serene!
Gone! You don't have to worry about that witcher anymore!
Gone? You killed her? Serene's dead?
Are you in pain?
Serene saved me!
What's that now? You're not making a lot of sense. We saved you!
No, I was on my way to Valeria after you when pirates attacked our ship. They were about to take me for booty when Serene came. She destroyed them all, brother. Serene saved my life.
Huh? She took your life, girl. Possessed your body and was probably fixing to snack on your soul.
That's how she lives. She can't help that. I know it's wrong, but I will mourn her, with or without you.
Iuria.
Another night, moon above, I think of you, and I know warmth in my heart. You beside me, two as one. We'll be together always.
You receive a Songstress's mark. 2 as 1. It could very well be a song about Sirene and her. Already level up, now we can go up to 50. New title earned, Slayer of the Sea Witch. Let's take a look at some of these things. First off, let's examine Iuria. She allows us to use a new item called the Instrument. I mean, we picked up an instrument before, but we never had anybody that could use them. We do now. She has the Instrument's weapon proficiency, which is not able to be used by the Lord class. That and Fusils. The Lord class is Denham's ultimate class, which allows him to retain all abilities that he has previously been exposed to. These are the finishing blows that she has access to. So now with this information, I am able to complete my finishing blows chart, which I'll go and show at the end of this episode. She has access to a new type of spell called the Folklore or Songs. This first one gives Spellcraft as well as gives a little bit of MP. The second one gives Healcraft. The items that we have can give either one of those. So for example, this one gives us Spellcraft, whereas the unique item gives us the Healcraft. I'm clicking, right-clicking here. I'm literally clicking. You can see the mouse moving as I click, but it was not getting through that menu. Okay. The Pumpkin can actually become a Songstress as well. The other familiars cannot. The Imp familiar can become a warrior, and the Fairy familiar can become a Beast Tamer, and the Pumpkin familiar can become a Berserker, but also a Songstress. So we can have a second Songstress in the form of Bloom. So that's something that we will be managing as well. Let's go and take a look at our Warren report. Titles first. We unveiled Slayer of the Sea Witch, defeated Sirene, releasing Iuria from her spell. Then we'll take a look at people. The reason I mentioned that the game isn't really trying to get you to debate the philosophical quandary about whether or not it's okay to put someone at risk or kill someone off just because you saved them, is because it immediately follows up with this. She was possessed by Sirene when waylaid by pirates en route to Valeria to find her brother Canopus. She brought death upon Omish with her songs, but the curse was broken by Denham. Returning to her old self, she joined the Order of Tran. Now, I will say that for people who don't, think that Sirene's evil for killing the Omish, which that's the pirate's den essentially, how many players probably ended up killing all those pirates just because there was a battle, right? Of course, I didn't. However, if you did, they do drop food. I will say that if you want some stat ups, there's some stat ups right there. One of the reasons why I say Gilbald, I know him as Gilbert, is because I think this is the same one, except the last paragraph is a little weird to me. However, I never did play Knight of Lotus, so maybe that's true. Let's go ahead and read this. A Zenobian from Peshval who once led the Beast Regiment of the Kingdom of New Zenobia. He is a close friend of Canopus. When Zenobia fell under the rule of the sacred Zetagenian Empire, he bent to their will at first, reluctant to bring war upon his people. However, convinced by Canopus to take action, he joined the resistance and led an uprising against the occupying forces. Iuria, sister to Canopus, also considers him a trusted friend. After the kingdom of New Zenobia was established, he traveled to the Holy Lodician Empire, having fulfilled his formal duties. Because he is seen in Ogre Battle 64, but maybe there was a Night of Lotus takes place between that, perhaps? I never did play it. The Witchess Serene, an apparition said to prey upon the souls of the dead. She has an enchanting voice that brings death to the living and peace to the dead. Untold numbers of sailors and pirates have perished through Sirene's songs, and in death found solace in her requiems. It is said she appears without fail at the outbreak of war. She took possession of the Songstress Iuria and sang in Port Ashton. Noticing a strangeness about Iuria, Denham finally succeeded in driving out Sirene at the pirate's graveyard. It says Port Ashton. I would like to point out that this is Port Omish. This is Port Ashton. There are 2 more talks that we have not looked at. This leads directly into Coda 2, and this leads into another dungeon, which both of them, if you do both of them, will eventually lead into Palace of the Dead. So we will first hit San Branza Ruins, and then we'll do King of Brigantes. But that is for another episode. Thank you very much for watching Tran Wins Tactics Over Reborn. See you next time. Because there's so much data, I had to resize this to fit the video, so the text may be a little bit distorted. Still, I hope it's helpful to you, if you choose to refer to it. I enjoy reading your comments, and if there are any questions about the game that you still have, please feel free to ask.